going to spin off this planet. I love it. Keep at it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Good evening, Lions faithful, and welcome back to a Thanksgiving episode of the Sunday Spins. We've got a little bit of a mix-up here today. It's just me and RC. It turns out that Cleary, it actually wasn't a joke, and he is a doctor.
Crazy.
And he does have more important things in this podcast every once in a while. So we're going to be switching it up a little bit on this shortened Thanksgiving week. We're going to do a shortened show. We're going to talk to some of our dedicated listeners here, get them on the phone. They'll ask us some questions, get some takes off of themselves, and the boys will react to them. We'll also do a recap of the thrilling win we had over the Bears on Sunday, hang some banners, and then go ahead and get out of here. So with that, we'll move into the Bears game, and it was a crazy one. I feel like, RC, we came into this game, and everyone felt so confident. That's how you know that trouble was brewing.
Yeah.
And we came out in that game, and pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You saw... I felt like in that first quarter when after the Bears went down and scored on the first drive, a methodical drive, Justin Fields moving the ball with his feet, moving the ball with his arm, which a lot of people didn't think was possible. We're like, all right, okay. Looks like mobile quarterback's still giving us some problems, but it's okay. We've got like an explosive offense. Like Jared's got this. And then he just throws an interception on that first drive. And then I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. It was super unfortunate. It felt like the only way that we could possibly lose this game is if we just kept giving them the ball. And that was sort of exactly what we did. I mean, 4 turnovers, you're never, ever supposed to win that game ever. And Jared was just so off. And we were running the ball so good, too. And I remember hearing in the press conference that Dan saying, oh, well, we weren't able to give David the ball as much because of, the game script and all of that. But I didn't rewatch the replay or anything. And I don't have every angle. I just remember from what I was seeing at the game is he was damn near getting 5 yards a carry. And I just thought we should have kept running the ball more. Obviously, you're not expecting Goff to throw a pick on like a play action, like, you know what I mean? Like on the first drive or second drive or whatever it was. And,
first drive.
Yeah, I mean, it was just detrimental to the entire flow. And it just felt like, it was going to be one of those games. And then at the end of the second half, we started getting it together. We got our momentum back, and we ended up taking the lead at the end of the half. So it's like, okay, we're gonna go.
I felt good. I felt good.
I felt pretty good. 14-10 at half.
Everyone has an off half and off but okay, Jared's like back on the horse now. He looked like that was an electric dart to Amon-Ra St. Brown too. It was like perfect where like only he could catch it as well too.
It was so sick.
So I was like, okay, like I'm feeling good. And just as like a side tangent, it was funny because I was watching this game. I know you were at the game. I was watching this game and I didn't realize it. I booked my flight at exact corresponding times as this game was going on. And I was a little bit nervous. I was like, am I going to have this on this like Delta TV or not? Spoiler, did not have it, but I figured out the Wi-Fi and was able to like stream it off of YouTube. But I didn't get to do that until after maybe like a quarter and a half had passed. And I was like, all right, like this is just on me. I wasn't properly watching it. Like the boys
which part had you missed?
I missed the first quarter, like pretty much the entire first quarter.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, the boys just needed me to watch over them.
Yeah.
But then I started actually watching, and like that third quarter was so bad. And there's just like this little 5-6 year old kid who's like curled up next to his dad, and he's just ripping farts like in my face.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
dealing with this like adversity as I'm watching us
my
get
God.
pummeled and throwing picks, and I'm just in actual hell. But I do think that like if I wasn't getting those farts ripped at me as we lost, it would have been low key kind of a good setup, sneaky, because I always feel kind of like a piece of shit when I'm sitting on my couch for like 3.5, 4 hours, or sometimes 8 hours for like an NFL slate. The fact that it's like I could only sit on my ass on this plane and just go across country was kind of the ideal scenario. But you definitely, the technical issues will get you a little bit. So that was like my perspective of what I was going through. What were the vibes like in the third quarter for you guys in the stadium? I feel like the air had to be getting sucked out of it after Jared threw his second or third pick.
Bro, so I'm trying to think, when did the fumble happen on the kickoff? Was that beginning of the half?
I think that was third. So I think the Bears scored. Okay. And then they scored, I think, maybe a field goal. And then we like Reynolds fumbled it and we gave it right back to him.
Yeah,
which
it was
just
like
did no favors for our defense.
That's when it started getting a little bit antsy in there. I want to say that I was pretty confident that we would win until about 5 minutes left in the game, and we're down 12. Yeah. I was pretty confident we'd win. I thought if we could get a stop, if we could not let up any points here, that we could maybe win this game. And we ended up letting up that field goal, fucking.
It was such a long drive, man.
Yeah, douchebag doing his little dance. But that's kind of where
was the turning point.
That was kind of where it went downhill for them. And yeah, I mean, so prior to that, I want to say basically third quarter was absolute depression. It was just a horrible quarter, maybe the worst quarter that we'd seen all year.
Besides the Ravens.
Minus the Ravens game. Yeah, minus the Ravens game. So it was an absolute shit show quarter, and everybody was in a darkness.
Did anybody leave? Did
people started to leave? I want to say in the middle of I want to say after that field goal, some people started to leave. I heard Dylan and Ghouls talking about maybe leaving. And then people actually started booing. Yeah, so that's on them. And then people actually started booing, I guess, when we ran the ball with 2 minutes to go.
I heard that on the replay when I was watching.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And then people booed Goff too a little bit when they overthrew him. I wasn't one of those people, not to flex, but we're 7-2 and I've never seen us be this good before, so I just didn't have it really in me to be like, to boo them at that moment. But I was also like, I can't really blame them because I feel like there's like a Lions trauma where it's just instinctual for like them to be like, oh my God, like we suck, and to boo. So I can't really blame them for booing, if that makes sense at all.
No, it's totally fair. I mean, I think in that game, it was boo worthy. We all thought, it was a boo worthy game. Like Jared, it was the worst game I've seen him play since he's been a Lion. Like there's been bad games the Lions have played collectively, but it's generally not specifically because of him. And I'll give him a little bit of a break on some. So he throws 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
One in the first, I believe, one in the second or third, and then one in the fourth. Now 2 of those, one of them was tipped. One of them I thought was a bullshit Laporta.
I thought it should have been pass interference, but maybe I don't know. That's why
it could have been
about it, but I didn't know if that was just incidental contact or not. But
to me,
it looked like PI. That it was like he was in his way, but like I don't think you can just do that because then you could just act like you're in someone's way all the time. So I don't think
my problem with it is it's like, okay, if you want to not call that, that's fine. But then you can't call some of the ticky-tacky pass interference and 5-yard hold penalties that like we
Yeah.
got during the game too. I felt like it was a bit slanted, not horribly, but
Well,
definitely a bit slanted against us.
we got some phantom PI calls there, but it was all overshadowed by the fact that we had so many turnovers that it was hard to
Exactly.
even blame these ridiculous like phantom calls in those moments. So yeah, no, it was sad as fuck, but
That was the
you
sad
know,
part, but then we turned it around, and I feel
yeah,
like that last. It was funny because I was rewatching. So when I got off the plane, I told my parents to record it because I didn't know if I was gonna be able to watch it or not, and they hadn't watched it, so I watched it again with them,
oh dope,
and they were like, "Wow, yeah, like this sucks. Like we suck." Basically, like the entire time after
Mhm.
after the first half. And I was just like, just wait, just wait, just wait. Like, we're going to turn it around. And they're like, dude, there's like 4.5 minutes left. Like, what is going on? And it
Yeah.
was crazy to rewatch it again, knowing the result, and see
Mhm.
how fast we got down the field once we got the
Yeah.
ball back and we're down
Yeah.
12. Is we literally got that touchdown in like a minute 15. And it was the perfect
Oh yeah.
deep ball to Jameson, and the way that they stacked him on top of Amon Ra, who they'd been force feeding all day. So I feel like
Yeah.
all of the Chicago defense is automatically like collapsing on him a little bit, and they just feed JMO right over the top, and he's wide open, which was just electric to see. And I felt like after that, it kind of put the Bears on notice too.
We were damn near favored after that moment because we kept live betting the game on Gould's phone. And it was just so fucking great. JMO had another good game. That was such a great I just love when he like makes plays, and yeah,
blocks.
they favored St. Brown on that route, and the safety came down a little bit, and yeah, he was just wide open. So great play, and then we finally got a stop. You know what I mean?
Because the
Yeah.
Bears turtled though. I do want to say this as
Mhm.
like a person who's watched the Lions like do some very dumb fucking late game play calling. Like
Yeah.
that's how you turtle. That's how you lose
Yeah.
a game, is you just do exactly what they know you're gonna do,
Yeah.
and just run the ball like 2 times. Our linebackers like 2 yards off the ball, just like diving right in there. And we got the ball back, I think, in like 30 seconds, if
Yeah.
that. And then when it's like, okay, we've got the ball with 2.5 minutes left, it almost felt like, okay, like this is almost too much time for
Yeah.
us at this point. And I felt like
Yeah. I think we only
Ben
used two
Johnson,
timeouts, right? We only
yeah,
used two timeouts.
we had maybe all three of our timeouts.
Yeah.
At least two though, and it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, this is with the 2-minute warning, this is 100% enough time for us to get down the field, and you could still work some runs in like during those series as well, which they did, and it just felt like it felt like looking in the mirror of like
Mhm.
previous years
Yeah.
of like when we used to be that shitty team with like Matt Patricia, where like you would just fumble away like these improbable like losses.
Yeah.
I know that the winning percentage at one point was like 98% when they were up 12 points with like 4.5 left.
Yeah.
And for us to come out of there with a win is just so spectacular. And to see that Jared Goff get back on the horse, man, that he's like, yeah, I know I threw 3 interceptions. I know we've played like garbage. I know the line even wasn't holding up as well against that Chicago pass rush, but when it counted and it was crunch time, to see them come together and string 2 drives together when you gotta have it, it was like a new
Yeah.
dimension to our team that we really haven't gotten to see this year because we played out in front so often.
Yeah.
I think that's huge for your morale to go out there and get one. Because I think to
For
your
sure.
point, RC, when you were saying like you're like, oh, if they lost, like whatever, we're 7-2, like we've been so good this year, man. Like everybody gets a mulligan. If they lost, I would not have hit the panic button. It would have been whatever. This is the NFL, man. The Chiefs just lost to the Broncos recently. Like that shit just happens out there. But for you to come out of this and steal a win from like the jaws of defeat, like that's the shit that number 1 seeds are made of.
No, I would have been fucking pissed if we lost. That's not what I was saying. I was just saying I couldn't boo at that moment just because of
Fair.
everything that they had done so far, I couldn't boo personally, but I understood the boos. But I gotta give everybody credit there. Once we started getting it moving again and Goff Lake got back to normalcy, we were back in it, and we were again. I mean, it's like every week, not that many people left, but so we still had a lot of people there. When they had the ball at the end of the game there with a chance to come and tie it or take the lead, that was the loudest it's ever fucking been. Again, I mean, I feel like it topped even after the Raiders had that fake fumble call, and we were louder than that than on Monday night. It was piercing fucking loud.
I can hear it, man.
It was so fucking loud, like you could scream and couldn't even hear yourself. And then we get that sack, fumble, safety. It was just
it was beautiful.
electricity
Even
there.
before that, of backing up, of like the fact that when you're on the goal line and you get to the 1 yard line, like it was such poetic justice to just give that rock to Monty and let him get in the end zone. It was nasty. I actually saw a post game comment from Sewell where he was talking. He was honestly like scaring me. He's like, yeah, man, wherever David went, like I was with him all day. I told him, you want to get dirty, I'll get dirty, man. I'll go there with you. I'll be there. And I was like, oh my gosh, Penny, I'm so scared.
He's so scary. He's like, whoever booed, he said, whoever booed, do it to my face. He's so funny, bro. But no, that's like the guy you want. But no, what the crazy part is about that drive is we had so much time, is we were running the ball, and I think David probably had like 35 rushing yards in that final drive. Like it was like we handed it off a few times. The first one they booed, but I mean he got 6 yards or whatever. But and then
he was ripping off 10, 15, 20 yard chunks.
And then he got like 15 right before the 2-minute warning, I think it was, because like you have the opportunity to run it there, and he got like 12 or 15 or something there. And,
which was a sneaky, very smart, situational awareness to know that.
Great run. We were 2nd and 10, and we got like 15 on the draw play or whatever. Maybe it was just a regular handoff, but it was so sick. That drive was so sick. Ben was just. It was just like we finally became us again. With it would have been nice to have it the whole game, but with 4 minutes left, like we just came back to life and
we turned it off
together. Yeah.
Which is, it's so hard to get yourself randomly in a rhythm after you haven't been playing in one all day.
Yeah. Credit to Goff for, maintaining composure and, making the plays when he needed to make those plays, and to the defense.
He was throwing really, really hard darts out there too. Like the JMO touchdown.
The JMO touchdown was
absolute dart.
That was the best throw he threw to JMO this whole year. Like that was the best throw he's thrown to him. He hit him another time too. It was sort of like one of those. It was almost a perfect throw because you don't want to overthrow it there. I don't know how far in the end zone. I'd have to watch.
It was good. It was a good throw. It's just like JMO, it has this like magic power, dude, that he's so fast that you basically can't overthrow him.
Yeah, it looked like he fucking launched it from my view. Like I was like, holy shit. And then it was JMO and I was like, let's go, dude. That was like the best part. And then the defense got to stop, dude. That was just like, what we needed. Fields missed the guy. That's just, part of the game.
It is too. It's like, I know
part of the game. You're not gonna hit.
I feel like
you're not gonna hit every long ball. Like that's just how it goes. Like
no, and
you know what I mean.
He also hadn't been throwing those all game either. So I feel like he wasn't like quite dialed in on it. But it was great to see. And then circling back to what you're saying about the last like game sealing, I feel like a strip sack by Hutch it was awesome to see that on the very first play as well too. It felt like Hutch had been getting held, as happens in every single game. And I was waiting. The announcers had started to pick up and talk about how long it had been since he'd had a sack. And so it was like, I mean, I feel like everybody in the back of their mind was kind of like, oh, it's been like 4 games since Hutch has got a sack, man. And then like, we need something, we need some juice. People are talking about the defensive line, but then I think that play was such a perfect ceiling play that he just really rips through and just overpowers right and gets right to Justin Field and just has like the presence of mind to rip that ball out. And I will say the Selly, after
The
Wright
kick.
hilariously kicks that like out of the end zone, which was devastating to me as someone who had the Lions -7. But
I also did.
that's tough. That was really tough. But we'll take the win. I think the Selly was unreal of him just ripping a punt. After
it would have been
caught
nice
up to that ball.
It would have been nice to, if their guy didn't kick it out of the end zone, and we covered too, that would have been sick. But I think it was always a trap bet anyways, just because of like the division and I mean,
we'll blow them out.
It is what it is. I do not. I would take that win though, because the way it was all going, and I think everybody in the world would have, well, every Lions fan in the world would take that
100%.
win, and with and pay the $50-$100 loss to get to seal that dub. So what an electric ending though for that fucking game.
I mean, these past two games have been reminiscent of the Matthew Stafford Lions in the sense that it feels like these last two just been an absolute heart attack. And there's not like a ton of defense played, but I'll say this is like, I feel like there's a lot of urge to insta blame things on the defense. I don't think they had a great game today, but I think that they had like an average game because they were put in like the worst spot ever. Like you turn the ball over 4 times, brutal field position in like all of those. And a lot of times putting them back on the field almost immediately. Like the Bears dominated time possession, like 40 minutes to 20 minutes. So I won't say that this was like a brutal defensive game by us. Like I would say this was just like an average to mediocre game because they were really put in a shit spot.
Yeah, with the turnovers and all that. I mean, I'd say overall,
and the
for the overall performance of the team, I'd probably give them like a D-.
Yeah.
I mean, the entire team probably played at a D- level, and then up until maybe 4 minutes, then they turned it into like an A team. So whatever the math is on that, I mean, I'm not going to.
I feel like we came out with passing, right? We were like a C- team.
I don't know if I give us a. I don't know if I even give us a pass.
We got the win. That's the pass,
I know, but it's just like I think we won with 4 minutes. I mean, I don't know. It's just like most of the game was like a D- though.
All right. So for Thanksgiving, we're going to do a fresh segment here in the spirit of family and friends here for Thanksgiving. We're going to take some calls from some of our most loyal listeners here. We'll go to the phones. We've got our first caller here. It's Brian from St. Clair Shores. Brian, what question you got for us today?
Yeah, I got a question for RC mostly.
Go ahead.
All right, you're on, Brian.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. RC, I know you've always been a huge Aiden Hutchinson guy, being a big Michigan fan. I was just wondering what your thoughts are on him being a little bit not super polished and refined at this time. It seems like he's just kind of like a dog chasing some meat out there. He's like very good, but he over pursues. I just was wondering what your thoughts are on him and what you see him being in the next few years for this team.
Yeah, well, the biggest critique of Hutchinson has always been that he's got one move, and that's his goddamn spin move, and he just spins back and forth.
But it looks sick. Way.
It does look really cool, but he just spams the fucking B button. So it would be nice to see him like mix in some other moves, but I think the main problem is that he doesn't really have any interior help and any help on the other side. So I think a lot of teams just kind of key in on him, and he has been, so a lot of teams probably key in on him, but I mean, a lot of teams probably key on, Max Crosby and, these other big play guys. So it would be nice to see him get a lot more, a lot more sacks as of late. But, I mean, he made the big play when it matters, but I feel like that's really the only time we saw him the entire game.
Yeah, and building off that too, I feel like he doesn't get the holding calls. I feel like he's not getting that superstar treatment yet to like kind of like equate it to the NBA, where you see obviously like the LeBrons and the KDs, like they'll get to the line kind of at will, versus it seems like he's in that lower echelon where really like, I mean, he finally got a holding call in the most recent game when he like threw his hands up. I feel like they had to almost be telling him on the sidelines, like, please, sir, throw your hands up. You're being absolutely mauled this game. But I think you also have to, Hutch has to just be better than a holding call. And you have to, like, to your point, RC, have more moves than just a spin move to be able to beat all of these chips and doubles. And I mean, honestly, Wright just played him straight up a decent chunk of the game, and hats off to Wright. He like did pretty well against Hutch, but Hutch got the last laugh in that game sack. Like that was, I mean, that's what Hutch brings though, Brian. I feel like he brings the juice of like just he will not stop pursuing, and then he's gonna come up with those plays when they know you're in a passing situation. But I think he has to be something bigger and better for us. Like he has to take another step and really become like a double-digit sack guy for us to get where we want to go.
Yeah, I definitely see the potential. I mean, he's a stud. He makes plays like all the time. It just seems like there's a lot of like in between those gigantic plays. But
4 games without a sack is it was a yellow flag. I'm not gonna say it was like a red flag for me, but I mean, it was good to see him get back in the sack column, because no matter how dumb that stat technically is, people care about it. People care a lot about it.
No, I mean, he also makes like he's pretty versatile. He'll get like some picks and shit, but to really go into that like elite category, he does have to make plays even when there's guys on him, and it's not going to happen when you're just smashing the fucking B button every goddamn play. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fucking defensive lineman coach, but I think and neither is Cleary. This is where I'd shed the question off to him and be like, what do you think about what he could do? But I think it's just, you got to just keep honing in on your craft, like with anybody's fucking job. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see him, grow and get better. But yeah, it's not been enough lately, but he did make the play of the game. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, but I'd like to see him do more as well.
Yeah, I got one more question. I had one question, but I just thought of a new question. Okay. So obviously the Lions are 8-2. There's like, I put like 4 or 5 teams in that like top tier, like Super Bowl contenders, like Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, and San Fran and Detroit right now. Oh, I guess I'm missing Dallas too. So that's 6.
Are you?
Nah, not really.
I don't know, man. If they like really, they really are something, I think. But anyways,
on paper. But go ahead.
Anyways, my question was just gonna be like, where do you rank the Lions in there? They're like, those are all like the top teams, and I just think it's like interesting to actually be like being compared to them, and it's actually like a real thing. It's not like far-fetched or anything like that. Like, what do you guys think? If we get in there, like, do you think we could make some noise?
I think 100% we could make some noise, and I'll go first with the ranking, RC, and then I'll let you go. I would say on top of that heap, I would put the Kansas City Chiefs, man. Like, I feel like they won the Super Bowl last year, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're also like a totally different team than they were last year. Like, their defense is definitely for real, and they've got enough pieces on offense to keep them scary. So I would just keep them at number 1 after being like the Super Bowl winners. I feel like I almost want to put the Ravens number 2, but the Mark Andrews injury is like problematic for them. Like, I don't think that the Ravens are actually an elite offense without him. I think they're just like kind of good without him.
That's why I left off the Bengals because of the Burrow injury. I was like, I
Yeah.
would put them in that combo as well, but not anymore.
Yeah, I feel like they're sunk out of it. So honestly, I think it's almost like a three-way tie between the Ravens, Eagles, and Lions, which is hilarious because of how bad the Ravens beat us. But again,
Yeah.
I don't think that we're ever gonna we don't have to play them again unless it's a Super Bowl, and I think we ran the worst possible game plan against them. So I would like another stretch at it. So I'd almost put those three together. And then I would put San Fran like beneath us. I still kind of think that I don't trust their quarterback situation completely. Like, I feel like if any of their players get injured, they like don't really have the chops to like, if there's no Debo, if there's no Trent Williams, like we saw like the losing skid that they went on. So I think they're really like a full package. And it's like in the NFL, man, like how often do you like have all your players healthy? Like, that's the reason why I rank the Lions so high. Is we have so much depth, like that. However the pieces kind of fall, we've been able to win. But that's kind of the way I see it. I see it's like Kansas City number 1, a third tranche of Ravens, like Lions and Eagles, and then like San Fran, like one tranche below.
I got Ravens on top.
Ooh.
Ravens, Chiefs. Yeah, thank you for the dog.
That's how he says that they're dogs.
Yeah, they're dogs. Ravens. Wow, this part's tough. Ravens. I'll just go Chiefs, Eagles. And then I want to say a tie between us and San Fran. I think San Fran is better than you give them credit for, just because their defense. They have the second best. I'd probably say they have the second best defense behind the Browns. And then the Browns are a sneaky team that you could also put in here, just because their fucking defense is so
I will
good.
not put the Browns in there.
The DTR thing is kind of tough. But, I mean, bro, their defense is fucking amazing. They just beat the Ravens. It is a divisional thing, but it's just hard because it's like, I mean, are the Browns really going to win anything with their quarterback? But
Joe Flacco's on the way, though. If Joe Flacco gets the nod, that could change everything.
Yeah, well, he's elite.
Don't let him get hot. Don't let him get hot.
And then I put, so I'll probably put us maybe tying with San Fran. But
well, now that I think about it, boys, that question doesn't really matter because we only put, like Shnoid said, we only play the NFC team. So if I was following correctly, I was listening as well as I could. You guys had the Eagles, and you had basically the Eagles and then us and then San Fran for the NFC side.
Yeah, I put us at like a basically tie. I might favor 49ers a little bit more than us.
I have us above the 49ers and tied with the Eagles. I think that home field advantage will determine everything, because going into the link in nasty January for the playoffs is like a tall task to ask of any team. But if we get them at Ford Field, like, good luck, man. That's going to be a very tough crowd to play in front of.
That's what it's all coming down to right now. The more the season progresses and that, that bye becomes, or that home field becomes a reality, it's like real. Because like you said, you go to one of those places and it's like, oh man, it's going to be real tough. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, it's going to be real. And also one thing that for Philly has to scare you is their secondary doesn't look good. Yeah, granted, ours doesn't look great right now either. But like, they have like a lot of weaknesses that they put on display. Like, they're not a dominant defensive team like they've been in the past. Obviously, they could turn it on and that could change. And we're not great against mobile quarterbacks. But I think that we would be a tall task for them too. So I'm just focused on that 1 seed, baby, for the first time in literally ever.
Yeah, I agree.
We'd be the loudest stadium of all time. if we had a fucking NFC championship here. Loudest stadium ever. Like, I don't
Agreed.
It would be
yeah,
insane.
it would be absolutely insane.
Those tickets would be like, well, how much would those tickets be like for one ticket? Like,
Probably $1,000. Legit.
dude, they could be like anything. So you would pay like 20 grand for that seat. RC, admit it.
I don't have to pay that high because I get first dibs.
Oh, I forgot. They hook you up with that Lion Den package.
Yeah, so it would probably only be like $450 for me, something like that.
Dude,
Maybe a
that's-
little less.
Would you go or sell it? My last question before I'm out.
I would go, not even a question.
Okay.
Die hard.
Die hard.
Earned it. Well, thanks, Scarf. Appreciate you coming on, man. Maybe we'll have you on a little bit later this year for Die Hards in the Den.
Yes, sir. Go Lions, boys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we'll go to our next caller now. We've got Bradford from Grosse Pointe. Bradford, how's it going?
Shnoids, how you doing, baby?
We're doing well, man. What's on your mind? What take you got for us?
My take is that if we keep Jared Goff as our quarterback, he is the man, and we will win a Super Bowl with him if we hit him with the long term. That's the take.
Let's go.
I agree. I've been on the Jared bandwagon for a while now. I'm consistent with the fact that I think it's easier to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better. I feel like you saw Jared at like the bottom of his game this Sunday. Like that's like as bad as he can humanly be with like 3 interceptions. And he still had like the fucking balls and gumption to like pull himself back up and lead us on those 2 drives. I feel like as well too is just previously what we've seen. I've never seen anybody be able to do that for us. Even Stafford would be dialed, or he would kind of be shit, where he would like throw 3 interceptions. So I'm ready to give Goff an extension. RC lives in La La Land, where he like thinks we're gonna get Jared Goff for like 35 mil. But when you got a Malibu beach house and like a Sports Illustrated like model girlfriend, like you're not getting the discount. So I would be good paying Jared Goff like 40 up to 45, not more than 45, but like 45. We've got our quarterback. Like I'm good.
This is the greed-ridden world we live in, where 35 million is cheap. I mean, the guy got
Cheap.
one of the biggest contracts in all of football when he got the contract that he did, which is like 32.5 million. And now it's so all blown out of proportion that me saying 35 million a year is like somehow poverty. I mean, 35 million a year for a quarterback, you give him 5 years, 35 million. I'm not a math guy. Everybody knows that, but that's got to add up to something high. That's over 100 million. I mean, you give him 5 years for another 35 mil a year, guarantee him 100 or whatever. I think he's going to take it. I mean, I don't even think that's even that team friendly. Think about all the contracts that Tom Brady took. The guy was taking like 15 million a year, 20 million a year, and he's the GOAT.
Well, Goff is telling you he's not Brady, though.
And with today's inflation,
I'm not comparing him to Brady. I'm just talking about contracts.
He does.
You compared him a little bit.
I compared the contract. I did. Jared Goff is the next Tom Brady.
heard it here first.
Maybe. No, but
So yeah, we're winning a few Super Bowls, baby.
I think the main thing is that really like Jared can't get paid like less than Daniel Jones, just from like an optical standpoint. It's really tough for like people to be like, Jared, like we just don't have that dough for you. And you watch just like the joke of the Giants season being led by like the $45 million man and fucking Daniel Jones. Like now
That's the problem. That's the issue.
Anyone else? But did the Giants just bring that upon themselves because they were just like too indecisive of what to do, and they were just like, let's just get him.
Well, we all know the Giants are dumb. They're really dumb, and you shouldn't do things that the Giants do. But I just think that like the NFL, the cap number keeps going up. Like if you, as long as you get around, like as long as you don't exceed 45 mil, Like people, like if it was for context, RCs, it's like if Jared was on, like, if he didn't want to give a discount, like the guys in his category that are signing now, they're all getting like 50 mil. Like that's like what like the break the bank number is. So I'm just saying, I'm in on Jared Goff, but we'll see. We're going to be talking numbers because his agent has already said, like, him and Jared don't want to play. They don't want – it's an untenable situation for Jared to go in with 1 year left on his deal to next year. So I think we're going to get an answer to this question pretty quick.
I didn't know that there was sources on the inside talking about fucking deals already. I didn't even know this. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ with these quarterbacks. I honestly forgot that Daniel Jones got paid a lot of money. That is just detrimental to my cause, I guess. But yeah, I think we win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. I mean, last game's not until 3 minutes left, the best case for him. But yeah, I love Jared Goff. I've loved him since, basically the beginning of last year when it kind of seemed like, wow, this guy's like actually pretty good at playing football, and he went to Super Bowl, so it was always kind of rude for us as a fan base to kind of think that he was like a stepping stone quarterback anyway. But I mean, Sean McVay's honestly takes the biggest L here because he fucking threw him in the trash can, and now he's like probably one of the highest rated quarterbacks based on like whatever the fucking PFF people say. Who really cares about them, but he's the highest graded right now. So.
Well, I think McVay really just like LA'd the shit out of Jared, right? Like he came up and had this like girlfriend, like it's the equivalent of like the girlfriend you bring out there in like college or high school girlfriend, and then he's like, no, like I'm LA, I'm established now, like get me that hot fucking bitch Stafford, and wheeled him in there and got that ring, put a ring on Stafford's finger, something we could never do. So I'll take it, man. But I feel like if we get the only way we win that trade is if we get two. So that's the next thing we're notching.
If I get a goddamn playoff win, I'll be pretty fucking happy. I'm not even gonna
build this Dan Campbell if we get a playoff win.
Of course.
Well, let's go back to the phones. We've got another caller here. We've got our very own sponsor. We've got Alex Bowles of Dobie Real Estate from Harper Woods. How's it going?
I'm doing well, boys. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to sponsor the show, and I'm pumped to take the call. So my main take is, and maybe I'm just too into the Kool-Aid, or maybe I'm just too biased being a Lions fan, but I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I think that the Lions actually, even with their current defensive play, have the ability to sneak the number 1 seed in the NFC. I've been crunching some schedule, right? And it seems like the main teams we got to really mess around with are the Eagles, who are playing currently. I hope they lose.
So do I.
And then on top of that, we have San Francisco, who is a game below us, which is nice to have on them. And then we have the Cowboys, who we play towards the end of the year, where it's going to make a difference, right? So, and some of them, they have not that easy of schedules. I think the Cowboys probably have the easiest schedule out of any of besides the Niners and the Eagles. But I mean, the Lions, the Cowboys are looking like probably the strongest game.
Everybody else, I agree with you. I mean, that's what we've been saying when we were peeking ahead at all the schedules, is it's like, it's the NFL, it's any given Sunday, you can't overlook anybody, I think, as we just saw with the Bears. But like, our road is way easier than what it is for Philly,
the Eagles especially.
Yeah, the Eagles have like a real gauntlet, which is like the price you pay when you go to a Super Bowl. But I think if we can get a loss tonight to the Chiefs, and I just want to know what we need to do to get the next level in, Bulls, is just to understand
in the weird tiebreaker logic. Like, we as a fan base have never had to learn shit about like seeding tiebreakers because we
Never heard of it.
we have no
Never heard of it.
fan base in the dark on it. But I think that there's something, I think that it goes by division record. So it's like, what's your record within the NFC? Might be the initial tiebreaker, which right now I think both of Philly's losses, I mean, let's assume they lose to Kansas City. If they do, it'll be both in the AFC. So I think that's the only thing that like hurts us a little bit. But I do think, we were saying just to Scarf before this on the call, is that it makes a huge difference if we can get the 1 seed and they have to come to Ford Field versus us having to go to the fucking link in January and play like an outdoor game. Like, that's the difference in like what's a very close matchup. Because I'm not.
Who did the Eagles lose to the first time? I
Jets.
don't remember.
In like weird game, like a stinky
Weird game. Yeah.
Stinker.
Yeah, I mean, we have an advantageous schedule, but I'm not even playing devil's advocate, but the Broncos are a good football team. We got to accept that.
I don't.
I think they actually are. I think they actually might be
Four
a
in a
good
row.
team.
I was
They've
making
won
fun
4 in
of
a
our
row.
team for sitting around and watching. We like pushed our recording time like a
Yeah.
week because RC
I had to get some
watched the
fucking.
Broncos.
I had,
like
bro, because I got to get some tape on these guys. I got to get as much tape on these guys as I possibly can. I think they're a good team. They definitely have a good defense, which is insane to say because they also let up the most points I've ever seen.
points.
Yeah, hey, shit happens, okay? But I think they're good now. And then the Saints aren't bad. They're leading their trash division, so you got to take them seriously. Anything can happen.
Are they
Anything
leading
can
that
happen at the Super Bowl.
5,
Yeah,
by the way?
they're leading that garbage division. I'm not saying they're good, but hey, that's not an easy game.
It's
And
not.
then the Vikings might be good now too. So we got the Vikings twice.
Them
and-
losing was huge though for like taking.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Oh yeah,
I didn't
yeah. No,
watch
that was huge for us division wise. And then of course, yeah. So we got. Go ahead, Bulls. I'm sorry.
I was just saying that, like, when I was watching that Vikings in Seattle game, when I stopped watching it, the Vikings were up. And I was like, all right, well. And I mean, I had a moment in my head in the Bears game. I was like, well, we can still lose this game and still be in good shape in our division because they're going to lose and they're going to lose. Try to do the math in my head. I'm just very happy that we didn't have to do that. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, the Broncos winning was huge. I also had -2 Broncos, didn't hit, but it still felt like a fucking win. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we got, and we talk about this all the time, is, you know, those last 3 games are going to be a real test, and that's like a good thing. If we want to make a playoff push.
Off level intensity ball, like the fact that we get the Cowboys at the Cowboys is a great game because either you win, put yourself in like 1 seed, or you get your like ass kicked, or you lose and you realize, hey, like, play that fucking way again and your season's over. So like dial in. So I mean, I think the 1 seed is definitely, we have a logical path. If the Eagles lose tonight, I would say we should be the betting favorites for the 1 seed. But if they don't, I don't know. These fuckers just don't lose. They don't lose. Like they play bad games and they don't lose. So until they actually
Billy push over and over again, to get like 5 yards a game.
I hate that play. I know the whole internet will like loves to talk about that play, and there's like debates and people would say like you're old man yelling in a cloud. Like I get that a little bit, but like explain to me how it's like not a chop block, because I feel like we get a chop block called on us in like the most inopportune shit time to ruin my Sunday, and like that's a chop block every fucking time.
I just don't think the offensive line just like ever stops moving. Like that's the difference. The chop block's kind of like, I'm just gonna like throw myself at your kneecap, and then like they're just like, no, we're just gonna like run very low to the ground, and so like and form a cocoon around Jalen Hurts. So.
Yeah.
That's all it is. But I did want to say I'm very appreciative of being the sponsor of the show. I really, really enjoy listening to you guys. Bunch of buddies on the podcast, ripping Lions sports. So, quick Dobie plug. Check us out. Check out the Ram group. Check out our other lending company, Brass Lending. 22 title. Got to shout them out. Anything you need, just stop in. It's a bunch of great people there. So, but I want to say that my Dobie dog of the week,
Sponsored by yourself.
it's going to Brian Branch.
Okay.
And I just really don't think that anybody other than a diehard Lions fan or people that have followed him, maybe in college closely if you're an Alabama freak or something, but like Brian Branch is so good. And I'm so happy he's on my team because like when he's a future Hall of Famer and he's like all Lions, hopefully majority Lions career guy, he's just going to bring us so much joy. He's just an animal out there. Every hit that he puts on somebody is like, I'm here, like you feel it. He's like weirdly smart for being how young he is and how much he's playing right now. And I just feel I feel more safe with him like being in the back, you know, just like with him on the field, I feel like pretty solid. And I know our defense isn't like anything to talk about. I mean, it is something to talk about. It's a real something to talk about, to be honest. But in this case, like, just Brian Branch is just so athletic and one of those guys who, like, you need to, like, change the game for you. Even if he's not in direct, like, contact with the ball, he's, like, I feel like he's really typically where he needs to be. Yeah. And he almost had that pick, which would have been sick, but that's why he's a defensive player. We don't pay him.
Yeah. He's been quiet lately, and then he kind of had a comeback game last week.
He had 2 tackles for losses. Yeah. Those were
and he had a phantom fucking PI call.
Yeah.
But he had a really good game because I mean I'd been actually asking the questions like, where he hasn't been making those big plays that he made prior to his injury early on in the season, and it was good to see him out there making plays, and that's a great Dobie Dog of the Week, sponsored by Alex Bowles, Dobie Dog of the Week. So I really like that one.
Thank you.
I like that one too, Wolves, and I think that you're right. I think he adds a completely different element to us for playmaker. But I can't even remember the last time we had a dude like that can set up in the slot, and he can either guard your best tight end or he can be sneaky and subtle as fuck and just knife into the backfield. Like his blitzes are electric. Like I honestly wish we sent him like half the time because he always gets home.
And he's just so fast that his move, I can't remember who he was lined up against, but like when he had that big tackle for loss against the running back, we desperately needed it.
Bijan
just made
or the last game, my bad.
Yeah, he went one step to the left and was just like right down the lane, 6-yard loss. Like we needed the ball back, and like those are the kind of plays. Apologies. That you hope your defense isn't in super late in the game against the Bears when you know that you're better than them. But to show the grit and like him just to be there for that type of situation is just a very bright side of a defensive play that has many questions that will be addressed throughout the season, and it's going to be all fine. Everything is fine.
It's fine.
That's where we want to be. So
got it. Well, hell yeah, buddy. I appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll do one of these episodes again, man, and have you back on.
Would love to.
I got to get you in the Die Hard in the Den.
Absolutely. Please. Anytime. You guys know that. I'll be there. All right, guys.
We'll talk later.
All right. Bye.
All right. Let's wrap up. We'll do a little bit of hang the banner here and get out of here. Let everybody get to their Thanksgiving. So for me, hanging the banner this week, it's like, I think the main one that I took away from here is playing like shit and still winning. I feel like it feels like I'm on the other side of the glass now, looking at like this Bears team and just like being disgusted by them and watching them blow that lead and watching them lose in like a weird and brand new way. So to be on the other side of that, where we just get this win that's critical, honestly, in our pursuit of the number 1 seed, and it coming at the expense of this annoying as fuck fan base on the other side that I've watched just be so annoying and move the goalposts a million times, which is the only thing that Chicago Bears Twitter is good at. To see them meltdown, crumble, and us get that W, that we barely deserved, was like fantastic, man. Like that's a banner I've been waiting.
The resiliency gentleman banner. That's resiliency, gentlemen. That's what Dan said.
And also shout out, because I feel like we haven't talked about this, is, as we'll hear in the intro, of like the Dan Campbell scream of like, that was pure resilience. That was just a man letting out all the resilience that was left.
Yeah,
like,
that was resiliency scream.
that was so unhinged. Like that is a grown ass man. Like that scream.
Yeah.
Heard it as loud as you can to kick it off. Like,
yeah,
I love Dan Campbell, man. He's like
amazing.
Sure of like what someone would think a football coach is.
Yeah.
Like a Blue Mountain State of the NFL.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's banner is going to be about just the unlikelihood of that win. And teams are now 1-43 with 4 turnovers. And we're the only team ever to win down by 12 with 4 minutes left to go in the game. So hang both of those fucking things up, because we are the outlier in those things. And that's just, you could just kind of under the resiliency banner, just put those stats there, just so people understand why we are so resilient. And we're an outlier. We're like the outlier now, but not in the way that the Vikings, who had more points against and points for, were last year. That was more like I think that was just a grit. That was a grit, gross, fucking disgusting win. And I wish I listened to Dan and wore a fucking diaper to that goddamn game.
That was another shit yourself game, like, for sure. But hey, man, I didn't shit myself, which I'm proud of. I can't say the same again about the small 5-year-old child next to me that was just ripping them into my airspace the whole time. I had to be resilient too. So for me. What the last one, which I just want to give a more wholesome, more Thanksgiving style shout out here, is we'll hang the banner of James Williams, good dude. I feel like good guy. We on this podcast have always been Jameson Williams supporters.
Yes.
But he's starting to pull it together on the field, but also good guy banner right after he caught that really game-changing touchdown. And the Lions got that crazy win. He actually went out into the city and was handing out turkeys at the local homeless shelter, as well as doing autographs, man, and said it was like important that he does that for the city and that he's there for the city. So, man, I feel like it's all coming together, and that's that thing,
I love it.
Spirit that people need, man.
Yeah, no, it was good to see, and he had his most snaps that he's ever had last week too, so that was good to see. I'm glad that he's getting in the mix with the boys
one of the
out
herd
there on the field. Yeah, he said that's what Dan said. One of the herd now.
I love that Dan just like talks in most absurd coach speak. He's like, he's just one of the herd. I feel like Dan's a shepherd.
He's Moses.
Send him a giant ass like shepherd staff. I feel like he.
Hey, if he wins a fucking couple playoff games, he'll probably get a fucking statue right next to Barry.
Yeah, I think we should be the first team to ever give a coach a statue while he's still coaching.
Just build it next year. And then he'll start out like 1-5, and people will be like, "Oh my God, get rid of him."
Well, no, that's actually better, because then if you give him the statue, then instead of firing him, which is always like the overreaction you see with like those Super Bowl or whatever, you can just tear down the statue. You can be like,
yeah.
Burn that
So
shit.
you take his statue away, but he keeps his job.
Exactly, and you just give him a little treat. Like he wins. Then he comes back, he wins a Super Bowl, redeem yourself, build the statue back.
Yeah, just put it back together.
Mm-hmm. I think we might be onto something.
We are.
Dope shit like that, Joe. Oh, hi. Welcome back to Kids. Follow your dreams. Yeah. Wanna get a mansion?